that's what a college basketball game should be. You obviously want to come out on the positive end of things, but I can't think of a better way to really to spend an afternoon with a competitive game with every player going at it on both sides. I want a quick congrats to Princeton. They came in, played a really good game on the road. They made shots, they made plays. To our guys, especially these two guys, I thought our guys played their hearts out. They call it a game of inches for a reason, right? There'd be some possessions we would like back. I'm sure there's some possessions that the other opponent would like back, but I thought we played well. We followed our game plan for the most part. Sometimes it just comes down to the last play. And one thing I want to say is I thought the environment today was fantastic. I want to thank everyone at Dartmouth that helps with that, but I also want to thank everyone in the Upper Valley for coming. It's just a great way to spend an afternoon, and that environment certainly, I believe, gave us energy, especially at the end of the game. So thank you for that.
My first question is for Brandon and Ryan. I've known you for 2 years and you for 3. The bottom line, I believe today is you've been in games before, you've been competitive, you've expected to be good and competing in the Ivy League. You must be more convinced than ever that this team is a team that can compete. Do you feel that inside or off base?
I'd have to say that's something that we believed from the start of the season. And I think it's starting to translate and starting to show, and we're playing in these Ivy League games and throughout the season, really. I think from day one, everyone in the locker room has a collective mindset that we are definitely a top 4 team in this league. And I think we know what it takes, and we know what way we have to play. Unfortunately, we played our hearts out today, and it just didn't work out in our favor. But we have the recipe. We just got to put it together, and we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think Brandon hit the nail on the head there. So, it's pretty much everything that he said. Tough loss, but, we can compete with anyone, clearly. So we're going to look forward to the next game and keep showing and proving to people who we are.
All right, my first question is going to be for Coach McLaughlin. So a lot of people were doubting Dartmouth's ability to compete in the Ivy League season, but despite this loss, how do you feel about these guys competing and taking one of the best teams in the Ivy League down to the wire?
Yeah, I think Princeton took one of the best teams of the Ivy League down to the wire, to be quite honest with you. That's the way we're looking at things, and that's the way we're not changing our view there. I feel, and I said to these guys during a timeout, like, we're playing exactly the way we want to play. We have an identity. We have an identity on both sides of the ball. We have some things that are part of our DNA, and we're going to continue to play that way. I thought we had a very, very good week of practice in terms of competitive moments, which is sometimes hard when it's a Saturday to Saturday. But we're going to come in tomorrow. I know these guys are going to be ready to have another quality opponent and face them on Monday. Thank you.
In this day and age, and again, it's for both players, and percentages become a big thing about what people talk about with winning in games. And I believed going into the Penn game, if you won that game, your chances of making a tournament were 33%. Not that it just looks at the big picture overall. And if you lost it, it would only been 5%. And I thought today going in, if you won, you'd move up to 40, but you'd stay at 33 if you lost. And I feel the same about Monday's game because those are, really tough teams. Talk a little bit about the percentage chances and how you feel. It makes sense to look at a big picture and not just, you can't put somebody in. Princeton would be 95% probably, but they wouldn't be 100.
Do you want me to take that one, Murph?
You can.
Okay, great. I would say it's you always project, especially as a coach. I think that the biggest thing, especially when you get in a league play, is to not look ahead too far. You have to learn. We have to learn from this game. There are some possessions that on both sides of the ball we did some really, really good things, and some possessions that we have to correct. The biggest thing is for our guys to take care of the bodies tonight and then be ready to go against a quality opponent on the road. Like, how do we prepare on one day to go on the road and play a quality opponent? And it's less about percentages, but is our teaching as coaches translating? And are the guys understanding the message, believing the message, and competing to the level that we know they can compete?
All right, so also Xavier Lee dropped 33 today, and then on Monday facing John Polikides. So I guess I'm just curious about what it's like to face a player kind of of that nature.
Yeah, I'll start with that. I think as coaches, we have to put our guys in the best position, right? So we have to guard really good players different ways. Sometimes you can't guard really good players the same way every time. They have to see different looks, and that's a key. It's about guarding players, but it's also about guarding a team. You know, Princeton's a great team. Yale's a great team. So yes, you have to. We call it KYP. Know your personnel. It's really important how they're trying to attack you. Know how certain individuals are trying to attack you, but also the team as a whole. Thank you.
Just from a player's standpoint, I would say we look forward to those type of matchups. We love, like Coach says all the time, embrace the challenge. When it comes to facing guys like that's why we came to Dartmouth. That's why we came to compete in the Ivy League. It's not every day you get to face players of that caliber. So even with Xavier Lee today, whether it's John Poulikitis, Caden Pierce, whenever we step on that court, they're human too. So like I said, it's just fun. It's something that we look forward to. Don't back away from it all. And yeah.
Dave, this is for you. Your depth has definitely shown. In fact, you outscored them off the bench today by 21-12. There's so many players that did so many things. The statistics, bear out all kinds of great things you did, including only 10 turnovers in a closely competed game. Talk a little bit about how you felt as though your team defensively probably was limited once Ryan got into foul trouble because he really couldn't help. But your depth has really grown in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I was, we had a little bit of foul trouble. I thought guys really stepped up in the first half. And let's talk about someone who's not really in the box score, Cam McNamee. He's someone who just gave us great minutes. And, he statted with 1 rebound in 12 minutes, but the juice and the energy he brought, and that's just the way he practices every day. So it's a great lesson for everybody. We tell our guys to be ready. And it's a great lesson for any player out there. Practice as hard as you can because you don't know when your opportunity is going to come. And there's some guys that probably thought they were going to play today and maybe didn't. And that's just a circumstance of the game. And I know those guys will be ready to go tomorrow and ready to get their teammates better and be ready for Monday.
Both your teams have the ability to produce from so many different places. Today, a guy that stepped up and probably made more of a difference than people realized was Blake Peters. He was quiet all night long, and then both offensively and defensively, he contributed at the end. So, anybody start going into a game can make the plays that, might be the difference.
Peters is a senior, right? And in this league, and we have seniors that really know how to play, Peters is a senior that just knows how to play. And he made plays and he knocked down a big shot late, and that's what good teams have. They have older players that just make plays.
So, irrespective of the outcome of the game, I was just curious about maybe some decisions that were made that were effective throughout any time in the game.
Yeah. As a coach, you reflect a lot on that, right? And you try not to live in the past too much. And one thing I've learned is try not to talk about the game too much in front of the players after the game. We'll watch film and watch. So what we'll do is we'll watch film and we'll learn. Right now there's probably 30 things I could say that are going through my head. But, I think it's always important just to watch film, digest it with your staff. Why did you make the decision? Okay, are we good with that decision? How would we change it maybe moving forward? But I've learned in my career to really watch the film first and digest it that way.
My last question, my broadcast partner said today that, in the final possession there should have been a timeout called, and I said, you got to understand, they're not allowing the defense to get set. You have the advantage with all the weapons you have, that you have the advantage there. And then just doing that 3 times today in big plays, somehow there was moisture on the floor and people slipped. It was just strange. I mean, we hardly ever see that. We saw it in 3 big plays down the stretch.
Yeah. These guys can tell you what we said in the last timeout, and, we've got talent on the floor. We did have a timeout, but if the ball goes through the hoop, take it out. Defense isn't going to be set, keep the floor spread, and Ryan made a play. And like you said, someone slipped. You can't control that sometimes, and, that's the way we want to play. We want to keep the defense on their heels, push the basketball, stay aggressive.